Hello, Ram 55 here, and thanks for tuning in. We're playing Trainz 2019 again today. This is session 15 as we follow the daily journey of the Little Tidewater Railroad based out of western Michigan. Now, earlier today, Jane broke up the Norfolk Southern train that arrived from Chicago about an hour or so ago. Most of these cars are heading north to the industries just north of Tidewater, or on their way further north to River Point. And a handful of cars will stay here in the South Yard for delivery to the local industries in the port. Now, all of the Tidewater trains heading north leave from the North Yard. So Jane has to transfer the cars from the South Yard before she makes her local deliveries. She's going to grab the cars that were delivered, bring them over to the North Yard that you see over there to the left. So that will clean out the Southern Yard. And then the cars on the right there are the ones that are destined for the industries over at the port, which is just off to the right. Now, in my previous video, I explained that, the local industries make their orders for the day, so there'll be so many cars delivered to them. And then I break those deliveries up into one of 4 blocks so that they're not all together in the train. And you get a real good idea of what I mean and what happens by the cut of cars she's pulling right now. There's a covered hopper, a tanker, covered hopper, a tanker. That's all reflecting the orders from the local industries and then breaking them up into smaller blocks. But by doing that, it really increased my switching duties, which increased the time it took to get this train sorted and broken down. In the future, either I won't break them up into blocks at all, they'll already be blocked from their origin, or we'll maybe just break them up into 2 blocks, which will cut my switching duties in half. I want to thank everybody who's been leaving some very kind comments. Seems like a lot of folks out there are really into switching and the yard work just like I am. And the nice thing about this Tidewater Railroad that's made by Jointed Rail is it gives you a nice mix between over-the-line railroading as well as the yard work. Tidewater Railroad is a short line. It's just a very short distance between Tidewater to the south and River Point to the north. So you get to do a little over-the-road railroading. But I'd say probably over half of the action is actually going to be done in the yards, both here in Tidewater and up at River Point. Now, the cars she's latched onto right now are actually destined for the industries between Tidewater and River Point. There's 4 of them. There's the Woodhaven Fuel Terminal. There's the Tidewater Mills, Frank's Co-op, which is a small grain facility, and then the new industry that I just built, which is the Monroe Agricultural and Energy Facility. The cars she's driving to pick up right now are destined for the industries up at River Point. I also managed to get my better microphone working, so hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better today. For some reason it just wasn't being picked up by my computer. It was recognizing that the microphone was there, but when I used it, it wasn't recording. So hopefully this is all worked out now. I was using the boom microphone on my Logitech headset, and quite frankly the quality just wasn't there. It did the job, but the quality was not there. Hopefully this is a lot better. So this cut of cars that she just picked up is destined for the River Point grain facility, River Point Intermodal, which is another one of the big industries up at River Point. And there's also a flat car full of John Deere tractors heading to Chuck's Farm Supply. Now up in the north yard, there's already a cut of container cars and a cut of interchange cars waiting to be brought to River Point. So Jane's going to attach some of the cars to the back of the intermodal cars in preparation for getting them on their way a little bit later this afternoon. And the other set of cars are the ones we just talked about, destined for the local industries between Tidewater and River Point. And in the next video, we'll watch these be quickly sorted into the proper order for delivery by the local Tidewater Railroad local train. But for now, let's sit back and watch as Jane does her thing. And as an aside, another thing that I did while I was actually recording this video is I fixed some track problems. When I redesigned the yards, I pushed the tracks closer together. And in making those yard ladders, there was some really wonky angles at the frogs. And the way to fix that is actually to put a little bit of a straight track before the frog. And I think you'll see in this video that as you make the turn, the cars do a little shimmy or a little shudder because of that strange angle in the track. So I went back and fixed all those while I was making this video. Pretty easy fix, just, you know, good track work is important to me, and I couldn't stand the looks of it, and I didn't like the way that they made that little wonky shake as they went through the intersection. The problem with the rails and the switches when you make them here in Trainz 2019 is basically it's three separate tracks coming together. There's the one before and after the frog and the one that's branching off to the side. So when you make the switch, the connection, the game kind of averages out where these connections are coming from, and it compromises, and you have to tell Trainz that these sections before and after are straight, and that way you'll get a nice graceful curve at the intersection at the rail join. It'd be nice to be able to just put in a connection onto some track on a curve and have them gracefully kind of peel off, but unfortunately the mechanics and the physics of this game doesn't allow that. So whenever possible, I put in the switches on a piece of straight track. I forgot about that load of pipe right there. That's actually going to another industry. Haven't come up with a name for it yet, but it's going to be River Point pipe of some sort, and maybe it's going to be changed altogether. Maybe it won't even be pipe. Change it to a different type of industry. I don't know. So here she is attaching this cut of cars to the back of the intermodal cars. All of those cars will be delivered to the industries up at River Point. They will not be leaving the map. Now this string of black and white cars makes a nice pretty pattern. Will be going to the industries between River Point and Tidewater. And as you can see, we have to eventually put all the tank cars together and all the hoppers together. And that's what the yard work, switching, drilling, whatever you want to call it, that's what that is all about. Now, if it was up to me and I designed this whole thing from scratch, I would not have the Tidewater yard separated between north and south. I'd have it just one big yard. I would also have the engine facilities branch off of the shortest yard track. So again, I'm not sure what the intentions of the folks at Jointed Rail was when they designed this. It's kind of cool. You know, there's a lot of different concepts you can use. Initially, I was saying Norfolk Southern would go to the south yard and CSX would go to the north. Now I've got it, trains coming from the east are going to the north yard and trains coming from the west are going to the south. So still haven't decided how that's going to work out. And who knows, maybe I'll just completely redesign this whole yard system. So you can see the cars on the far left track there, those are the ones destined for the industries at River Point. The ones just to the right of that we're passing now are interchange cars, so they're going to be going up to River Point, but they're going to be going off the map via the Canadian National. And the cut of cars that she's leaving on this last track will be destined for the industries between Tidewater and River Point, delivered by the Tidewater Railroad local. In the next video, we'll watch, it's going to be a very short video, but watch these be sorted into the proper order so you get an idea of what's involved with all that and why you do that. But we are rapidly coming up on the end of this video. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and sharing your time with me. I appreciate all the comments you folks have made. Please keep the comments coming. Things that you'd like to see, things that you'd like to see done differently, or questions of what's going on. Be happy to answer them. Please give me a thumbs up and a like. And again, thanks for tuning in and sharing your day with me. So now Jane will just run down to the southern yard where she'll continue her day down there. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks again for tuning in.